Hey there, friends. Welcome to another episode of I Need Friends, a podcast about whatever. Thanks for being my friend today. Thanks for stopping by and checking out. Coming at you again from my closet on the cell phone. It seemed to do okay last time. I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm going to try my mic in the closet, but I really think that it's my mic that's giving me problems. And I swear, if I record another episode that I can't use, I'm going to have a mental breakdown. And I didn't schedule for one of those today. So it's just not going to work out with the amount of time I have to get things done. So I need to avoid a mental breakdown today. So on the phone again, here we are. And people have been eagerly awaiting this episode. I've had several people ask me now, like, when are you doing the Bonobos episode? And I wanted to do a little more research and make sure that I was presenting correct information to you, because I'm not a scientist and I am talking about things involving science, even though we're not going to get all hardcore science-y, because they're just going to get weird. Because we're talking about how bonobos are like always doing each other. And really, they're just getting like freaky all the time. They're getting freaky day and night. Bonobos doing it all the time. Really, like they do it like all the fucking time. It's like every 5 seconds, one of them is like banging another one. So, look, if you're wondering why, like, what the fuck led you to this here? Like, why, what made you want to discuss the sexual activities of bonobos, the closest relative to us that we share 98.5% DNA of? What inspired that? Well, me and my boyfriend were just hanging out talking one day, and I think we were watching like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or something, and that's why we were talking about dolphins. But we were talking about how there's that, like, you know, it kind of goes around that dolphins are the only mammal besides humans that have sex for pleasure, or just kind of like outside of reproduction. And I was just like, you know, I know that I've heard that before, but I'm not actually sure that that's true. I think that's probably a myth. Like, it's probably unlikely that dolphins are the only other mammal that like to get down like that. So I was like, well, let's fucking look it up. So I started, you know, looking into actual scientific research. I was reading a paper from Scientific American talking about observing sexual and social interactions between bonobos, and I was looking at research both from the wild and ones living in captivity, or like, you know, even in zoos where they're being constantly observed by other humans, and it's pretty similar. Their sexual interactions with each other, whether they're in the wild or whether they're in captivity. And they just kind of, seems like they use it as a way to kind of like ease the tension. Like, you know, it's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. Just easing the tension, baby. Just easing the tension. That's from Happy Gilmore, if you haven't seen that movie. I hope you know what I'm talking about, but they don't really have a lot of conflict. They're the primates that are the least likely to have, like, you know, social issues and get in fights with each other. A lot of these articles that I was reading about them were titled or had some kind of play on the title of like "Make Love, Not War," because of how often they're using sex to like diffuse situations. Like, so chimpanzees, they have problems with sharing food. Like, they'll get in fights over it a lot, and they get kind of aggressive with each other. But bonobos, usually when food comes out or when they're getting ready to eat, they just kind of like start doing each other, and they'll like keep doing it while they're eating. Like, they're just sitting there holding something in their hand, and then they'll stop and, like, you know, like stick their butt out. It's like, and then they eat again, take a few more bites, and they go back, and then they start eating a little bit and go back again. They're like, oh, okay, it was only 2 pumps that time, but okay, let's eat some more, and then we're gonna go back to it, and they don't care like who's watching. They don't care if there's like their little infants hanging out, watching them, climbing on them while they're doing it, climbing on their backs and their heads and their chests, just like, oh, you're getting, banged right now. That's cool. I'm just going to climb on you. And then there's like, you see like some of the videos, there's kids at the zoo with their parents like, oh my God, mommy, like what's happening? Because they're just, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're having sex. And they don't just do like, doggy style, like how you would picture animals in the wild. They actually have face-to-face copulation. Like they'll do straight missionary, but they'll also do like, some weird kinky, like acrobatic shit that like you're probably not getting in your bedroom, and you may need to step your game up because you're being put to shame by some bonobos that are getting it like 8 times a day. Now, and they don't like do it for a long time either. It's not like they're like having sex for like 5 minutes. It's really, sometimes it's just like 6 quick pumps, and they're like, all right, like I'm still hungry. Let me take another bite. We'll get back to this. I don't know if they're ejaculating that quickly, but it doesn't seem like it because bonobos don't have offspring that often. I think there's like a few years in between that they typically have another baby. And they're not heterosexual either, and they're not really monogamous. Some of them kind of are, or they'll have like, their main squeeze, but they go get it on with whoever. And it's not always like, I say they're getting freaky and they're being kinky or whatever, but it's not always about like a sexual experience like how humans have sexual experiences. It really is just kind of like a quick little thing. It's a way that they kind of just ease the tension, baby. They're just like, look, I'm feeling a little frustrated, and I might need you to just like stick it in me for a little bit, and then like we'll be good. And it's how they handle a lot of their issues, like even with jealousy conflicts. So let's say you have a female bonobo who is getting delicately railed by a male bonobo, and another male bonobo sees this and he's like, I don't like that. I wanted to do that today with her. I had that, planned out. It was on my to-do list. And now he's doing her, and that should be me, and I don't like that. And so he goes over and he chases the male off, and you're like, all right, well, he chased off the male. Like, that's cool. He's going to come back and, get with this chick over here. No, he starts like, look, other male bonobo, you and I got issues to solve. Get out your penis. Wait, what? Yeah, that's what they do. They start penis fencing with each other. So there's that. This was from the paper I read from Scientific American that used the term penis fencing. So that's what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe next time, gentlemen, if you're feeling, a little bit jealous of another man hitting on your woman, maybe just try, slapping your penises around against each other and seeing if that helps at all. You stand upright, you face each other, and you just kind of, like rub your penises on each other and penis fence, and maybe that'll solve all your problems. Like, maybe we have a lot to learn from the bonobos and how they handle their jealousy issues. Like, don't get mad, if you're jealous about this one person getting with someone you want to get with. Don't get with the person you want to get with. Now you resolve it by getting with the person who tried to get with the person that you wanted to get with. It's a really simple solution. But yeah, they do a lot of homosexual activities. The guys have no problem fencing each other's penises. They perform oral on each other. So do males to females, females to females. Females also engage in genital rubbing. So they take their huge, gross, I mean, they have really gross genitals. Like, they're our closest relative, and I think that 1.5% of DNA is mostly vagina, because gross. This thing looks so nasty. It's like a big, white, fluffy butt. I don't know. It looks so gross. It's like a cushion that they can sit on, like this fleshy cushion they can sit on. Some of them are like more pink than white. It just bleh, it just looks really nasty. It kind of looks like a giant prolapsed butthole. If you don't have an immediate image in your head and you're thinking, I could just Google this and find out what she's talking about, I would strongly advise that you didn't. Because if you don't know, you likely don't want to know. You're going to see something you don't want to see, or you're going to travel down a road that you'll never be able to come back from. And it's going to take you some places that you thought you'd never go. So just don't look it up. If you know what it is, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what a prolapsed butthole is, then just stick with the bonobos and their big puffy genitals. It's gross. So the females will just rub them on each other, and it's pretty easy to, because they just stick out really far and gross like, but they'll like, almost kind of scissor each other essentially. But like, actually one of the more popular positions for female bonobos to genital rub each other is that the one female bonobo will get on like its hands and knees, and then the other one will come from underneath and kind of climb onto her by like wrapping her arms around like her chest and wrapping her legs kind of around her hips, and they just kind of swing there and rub their gross puffy butts together, and it's kind of nasty. And so I was reading a description of this in one of the papers that I was reading, and I couldn't quite figure out exactly what they were describing. So the first time I read it, I was like, are these bonobos, like, are they really fucking scissoring each other? Like, does that really go on? And then as I read, I figured out, okay, it was a little different. But I also wanted to look up some videos. I didn't really want to, but I was just so curious. I was like, hold on a second. This is like blowing my mind that these bonobos just like get down like this constantly. Like they'll just like, yeah, I mean, like, I'll suck your dick. Like, yeah, we can fence our penises together. Like, yeah, you can rub your genitals on me. Like, yeah, you can bang me while I'm eating. Yeah, you can bang me before we eat. Like, bang me after we eat. Like, let's just do it all the time. But so I'm like, okay, I gotta see what this is like. And so I went to my favorite site for looking at videos, which is YouTube. Actually, if I'm being honest, that's my second favorite site for looking at videos. But I found plenty on there. There was a lot of stuff from National Geographic, a few other like small, research groups. And then there was this one guy who had multiple videos of bonobos posted. And I have to tell you, I think this guy has a thing for bonobos. Whoever is posting these videos, Takamasu Yokomayo or whatever his name was, on YouTube, there's several videos that are just of like copulation or genital rubbing. And then there's one that's like a minute long that's just of a female bonobo laying there with her legs open. And it just seems to me like maybe, but okay, I'm just going to say it. I think this guy is jerking it to bonobos. And I think maybe other people are too, because I was looking at the comments and I really didn't like some of the stuff that I was reading. It wasn't that it was like terribly explicit or even like remotely explicit, but just, I'm already in that mindset. Like, I think this guy like is posting this because he's got like some fetish for it and is like into this. And it's not unusual that other people are going to share a weird fetish. Like, people who are in the outliers for their fetishes, they still have people that are also into that. It's not typically just like one person likes something. So anyway, I think there's like a weird underground bonobo fantasy. I don't know. I don't want to get any more into it than what I did. I don't need to know anymore. I'm a little curious about it, but I'm not that curious that I want to find out what these people actually think about bonobos. I'm good with the information I have. That's sufficient. I'm going to stick with that. But anyway, this guy had a lot of videos up, so I did watch them of these bonobos getting it on, and it's just it's pretty gross. I don't really like it. Some of it is really just like, it's just whatever. It's like the quick, rapid, like bunny rabbit humping. But there's one where there's these two bonobos just hanging out on a tree, and one of them has some kind of like weird fruit. It looks like a giant kind of oblong coconut, and is eating out of it. And the other bonobo is kind of like pestering her a little bit. And I couldn't tell, like, is he trying to get her food? Does he want to have some of the food? Like, what's going on? And so she just kind of like moves her little coconut thing to the side and like sticks her butt out a little bit. And he comes over there and just like, and then he's like, oh, okay, like, I'll go. And then she eats a little bit more, and he comes back and he's like, and like gets on it again. And you're just like, all right, well, okay. So that's what they're doing. So that's what they do. And that's what bonobos like. And there's a lot of really cool stuff about them, though. I don't want to make it seem like they're just gross, big genital sex freaks that don't do anything else. Like, they're very calm and peaceful with each other for the most part. Like, I did find some information about they're more like female dominant, most of these groups, and some of the females can get quite aggressive. Like, they've been known to like bite off like other males' fingers. They kind of sometimes like hit them and like boss them around. And like, if you are a male bonobo that is born to a one of the more dominant females, then you will also have like a better status as a male bonobo because you're the son of the dominant female. So you're going to be like the best of all the males. But for the most part, they're pretty peaceful. They're calm. They get along really well because they don't have these tensions and conflicts because of all of the doing each other. But they'll hang out. Like, you can see videos of them just kind of all sitting lined up on a tree, picking at each other, some of them eating, some of them kind of rolling around. But they also like snuggle and like make out. Not in the way that you would want someone to make out with you, but in ways that like people do try to make out with each other. If you notice that you kiss like bonobos, if you go watch videos of bonobos kissing and you like, hey, that's how I kiss, then you need to learn a new technique, because I've been on the receiving end of that, and it's not pretty, and humans don't kiss that way. You shouldn't kiss like that if you're a human. But yeah, they kiss each other, they snuggle, they'll wrap their arms around each other and watch like a sunset. So, there's a lot that they do, and you kind of wonder, like, is there something? I know I was kind of joking around earlier about males penis fencing each other when they get jealous. But, maybe there is something there. Maybe we should just be all banging more. Maybe that would solve more of our problems. So if you're feeling a lot of tension, and you're feeling a lot of conflict in your life, just try to have a little more sex and see if that eases things up. Maybe these bonobos are like really onto something. But seriously, it does seem to kind of, like, sex does relieve stress and relieve tension. And these bonobos certainly seem to be using it for that purpose, but they're freaky as fuck. It's hard to find a video where eventually, after a few minutes, some of the bonobos aren't doing something at some point, whether it's putting their mouths on each other or rubbing their genitals together or, whipping out the penis for a good old fencing. I can't stop with that one. I'm sorry. Penis fencing? That's hilarious. So I was at a friend's house recently and was talking about how I was planning on doing an episode for Bonobos and how raunchy they get. I mean, they just get down on each other all the time. But anyway, so I'm talking about this, and we were just kind of wondering about other mammals that get freaky like that. Like, so it's not just bonobos, like there's more too. And somehow we got on to manatees. I think maybe I said something about manatee dick. We were wondering the size of it. I don't know how we got on these discussions. All right, but we did, and we were there. And so, little bonus for you. My friend started looking up about manatees, and it's not a pleasant situation for them. I think that manatees are very cute, adorable animals, and they're like little sea cows, and they're so big and round and just sweet and cuddly. So I just kind of, well, not that I've always pictured them having sex, but if the other day thinking about like, oh, we're talking about manatees having sex, what would I think that would be like? That seems like maybe it would just be this slow, like their big round bodies just kind of on top of each other, not really doing much with their manatees, right? So you're like, what can they really do? No, they go fucking hard. So this poor lady manatee, she's just there and she's like, oh my God, there's 7 male manatees coming at me with their raging dicks and I don't want anything to do with this, but she just kind of has to take it. It's a really sad situation having 7 manatees on her at once, and then the manatees that can't get on her are trying to push their way through. So they're just taking their big round blubbery bodies and like pushing them into each other, trying to like get them out of the way. And they don't make that noise, but that's the noise that you have for today. That's my Foley art for you for manatees trying to, as my friend delicately put it, gangbang the female manatee. Because that's really what's going on there. And even if she tries to get away, they go after her. So I gotta say, it makes the manatee a little less majestic. Could you have described a manatee as majestic in the first place? I don't know. But I always thought manatees were so adorable, and nope, they're sex predators. So if you know anything about this show, you know we don't approve of that. Predatory sexual behavior. No show should approve of that, honestly. But anyway. Yeah, so those are the bonobos that just like to do it all the time, anywhere, any place, no matter who's watching, no matter what, no matter who or who you were with, or where you were going, or where you've been, for any reason whatsoever. That was from The Office. I don't know why I'm bringing out these quotes today. These bonobos get me like amped up. It's so weird. Like these animals are just, they're freaky and they're wild, and I wouldn't recommend looking at the videos if you're curious to see how bonobos get it on, just because it's not an appealing sight by any means. I've mentioned multiple times now at this point the really gross big genitals that they have that just look disgusting, but also, you get like, and you see like chimpanzees like really like bare their teeth, they're like grinning really big, like you get that with the with the bonobos too, is they're like really good. It's not a pretty sight. I mean, hopefully you wouldn't find animals doing it like something that is like pretty anyway. Hopefully you're only looking at it for like curious or educational purposes. But, you know, if that's what you do in your free time, I can't stop you from that. So, if you want to learn more about bonobos, all you have to do is look it up. There's so much information out there about their sexual activities and their social interactions and how their sexual activities coincide with their social interactions, how they're different from other primates, how they're very similar to us. All that is very, very interesting. And I'm not terribly qualified to speak on that. So go look that up and read from an actual scientist about bonobos. And there's way, way, way too many videos. Way too many videos of bonobos getting it on YouTube. But if you want to look, you can find them. It's very easy. So if you do, I want to wish you luck. Godspeed on your quest. I hope that everything goes well for you and you don't see anything terribly traumatizing. That's all I got for you today about the bonobos. I hope you enjoyed hearing about them. And then if you watch them, I hope you don't enjoy that. Please don't, because that one guy certainly did. There's someone out there, probably right now, that is doing something to bonobo videos that he should not be doing. So, the next couple episodes I got coming really soon for you. I'm doing one on, actually, going to bring up 2 movies in the next episode. So, Jennifer's Body, we're going to be talking about the issues I had with that movie. I just recently saw it and it wasn't what I hoped it would be after reading so much about it and it being portrayed as this amazing film. I was really let down, so we're going to get into that. And then after that, we're going to be talking about Watchmen, the book, the show, and the movie. I think I'm going to be able to manage to get that in a half-hour episode. We'll see. I don't know, because I start talking Watchmen and it gets crazy. So when I'm doing these episodes, I'll tell you. And the episode's done now. So if you don't give a shit, you can just turn it off. But I'll just let you know when I'm doing these episodes, I have my little notebook that I put my notes in. I don't like having like a script or anything. I just want some notes to follow so I can keep track of what I need to talk about. I forgot to bring my notes into the closet today, so I had nothing. So I hope this went all right. But usually I have my notes and it's about like, it's like a composition notebook and it's 1 page front and back and then the front of another page is usually all I have for like podcast notes. So I'm going back to look at my Watchmen notes and this is just what I had about what I didn't like about the movie. And there was 6 pages and I'm looking at this and there's like all these notes written on the side and things over. And I was like, oh my God, I am a crazy person. Like there's something wrong with me. And I'm sitting there like reevaluating all of my life choices up to that point. And I'm like, let me just look at this one more time and see like what I actually wrote. And the reason that it was so long and why it was 6 pages long is because I had a lot of long descriptions talking about specific scenes that like I needed to describe and that I needed to have all the details for. So I was like, whew, okay, I'm not as crazy as I thought I was, but I am a little obsessed with Watchmen. So, even if you don't like Watchmen or don't know about it, it's going to be a good episode. I promise you. And if you like Zack Snyder, I'm just going to warn you, you're not going to like me. So just prepare yourself for that. So those are the next episodes we got coming. So, stick around or come back for those, depending on at which point in the future you are listening to this episode. So thanks, future you, for tuning in, being my friend today. That's all I got for you, buddy. Till next time. Bye, friends.